May is a very busy month for our family. There are many school events, lots of family birthdays, and holidays like Mother's Day and Memorial Day to top it all off. It can be a very full month that has us running in a number of directions. With that, you may be expecting me to say that I didn't get a lot played this month. That's not entirely the case though. Did I get as much done as I did last month? No, but I did still get a number of games played and even was able to complete a game over the month. So let's see what those games were during this busy month of May 2024. As I said, I wasn't really expecting to complete a game this month, but I managed to right near the end of the month. I would have liked to have completed more than one, but since I wasn't really expecting to get any completed, I'll still take it. And that game was Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remastered. I started off the month not getting very far in this game, but near the end of the month I buckled down and managed to have enough time to get through the story and even platinum the game for my 105th platinum. I really enjoyed my time with Final Fantasy VI and will be putting out a review for it in June to say more about where it rates in my Final Fantasy journey so far. Speaking of my journey through the Final Fantasy games, this is my last entry in the Pixel Remaster collection part of the series. I've enjoyed playing through the collection. I have to admit that I enjoyed the SNES era of games much better than the NES era. None of them were bad necessarily, but some of the games were definitely better than others. From here, I will move on to a port of the original Final Fantasy VII after playing a non-Final Fantasy game in between. In terms of story games, most of my month was devoted to getting through Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, but I did play a little bit of two other story games this month. And the first is Stardew Valley. Again, I only played Stardew Valley Expanded once this month. I don't think I really accomplished all that much. I did find some of the new upgrades and stuff from the more recent update, which was fun, but I can't think of too much else special from my time. This month's lack of playing wasn't really due to mods though, as updates have slowed down on that front. This was more a matter of playing a new DLC for one of my games early in the month and focusing on Final Fantasy VI during the second half to try to get it completed in May. I'm hoping with the start of summer that maybe I'll get a bit more time with Stardew Valley, but honestly, I'm not even sure because summer can be fuller than I expect sometimes. The second story game is Horizon Zero Dawn. Here's a game that has been on my backlog for a while. I've always wanted to play the game and its sequel, but it just never started it. That changed at the end of May. This was my game I started after Final Fantasy VI, so that means I'm not very far and don't really have a well-formed opinion of the game so far. It looks really nice and the world seems pretty interesting so far, but I haven't really been introduced to much on the gameplay front yet, so we'll see. I imagine I'll enjoy it since it has a pretty good reputation, but it's too early to say for certain. Moving on from story games, I'll be focusing on games that I call endless games. These are games that don't have clear-cut endings. They can be online PvP, arcade, sandbox, creative, simulation, or party games. Some of these are games I enjoy quite a bit and keep playing off and on, while others are ones that I play for a season and then move on from. There are also games that we'll play as a family off and on, depending on the month. May had many old favorites return, as well as a couple new entries to the list. One was a game that I haven't played in a long time and returned to this month, while another is a game that I played for the first time. The first endless game is Fortnite. This is a staple to my list and a game I play regularly with my family. May was a transition month as the Greek mythology season ended and the new Mad Max-esque season started up. I'm a bit sad to leave behind the Greek theme season as I really enjoyed that season. So far, Chapter 5 Season 3 hasn't been quite as exciting. I kind of enjoy the car combat side of things, but it kind of dominates the game maybe a bit too much. I think we just need a good setup for people on foot to do damage to cars or to kind of counter cars, and will be a bit more on even ground. I'm also not a huge fan of the battle pass for the season. There are some good skins in my opinion, but I'm not a huge post-apocalypse style kind of person, so it limits my enjoyment. However, it does make for some interesting variety, so if you do like that style of skin, then you'll be in luck. Overall, I enjoyed playing Fortnite in May, and it is still the main shooter style game that I play. There were some things over the last month or so that I haven't liked, like the Star Wars event was pretty lame this year, as it seemed to focus more on the Lego Fortnite aspect of it than it did on the Battle Royale part of the Fortnite, which I didn't really like. XP gain for the Battle Pass doesn't seem to be quite as good as what it once was. I know that just kind of playing with family on a regular basis, I would still get pretty close to 200, but I didn't really get that close this time, even playing a bit on my own to try to grind out some levels. Add in the fact that they're moving more and more into the early 100s to earn, I just feel like this is not a good combination. I'm hoping some of these will change over time, but I'm somewhat doubtful on that, but I can hope. Second endless game is Marvel Snap. This has been another staple to my list for quite some time now. Marvel Snap continues to be a game that I enjoy, but maybe don't play quite as much as I did at my peak. In part, this is just because with so many games to play, it can be a bit hard to commit to one for a long period of time. Also, partly some of the updates in the game haven't always felt the best either. It's not been enough to really make me give the game up, but I think it has made me play it a bit less over time. In May though, I was happy to pick up a few new cards. I was able to get Blink via the season pass, but also picked up Nocturne and Legion from Spotlight caches. I was also able to get a bunch of new variants over the month, so I'm overall pretty happy with the month, even if I wouldn't have minded a few more new cards. Third endless game is NGU Idle. NGU Idle is a game I play very regularly, but being an idle game, you don't really have to play it all that much. I do feel like I'm making some progress, but progress is pretty slow, which is, I think, pretty standard for most idle games. I was able to knock out a few challenges and unlock the next Titan boss in the game, even though I'm not nearly strong enough to face it yet. I'm still pretty amazed at all the little secrets and things there are to unlock in the game. It's still not my favorite game by any means, but it can be fun to mess around with and manage every so often. The fourth endless game is Vampire Survivors. The Operation Guns DLC that was a crossover with Contra released for Vampire Survivors in early May. So I played a good amount of Vampire Survivors early on this month and really enjoyed the new DLC. It did have a few minor issues, which if you're interested in knowing more about, I did put out a review of the new DLC this month, so check it out. I'll put a link on the video and below in the comments. I do think that they have taken care of some of the issues that I talked about in the video, but I haven't really played it much since their last update to know whether that's completely ironed out all of the issues on that. Overall though, I still find Vampire Survivors a lot of fun to play and always enjoy loading it up whenever there's a new update, whether it's just a free update or a new DLC for it. I mean, I also enjoy playing it when there isn't a new update too, but that doesn't always happen quite as often. The fifth endless game is Warframe. Now here is the game which is a blast from the past for me. I used to play Warframe pretty regularly, but I never really had people to play with, and I felt like I was getting a bit stuck, so I wound up moving away from the game. My son recently picked the game back up, which led me to start playing it again too in order to play with him. It's still a pretty fun game, but definitely one that has a grind to it as well. I probably won't play this as much as I used to, but I can see this becoming a game that I'll play a few times over a month, especially if my son keeps it up as well. This is definitely a game that is more fun with friends, so having someone to play it with will be nice and will keep me motivated to kind of keep with it, I think. The sixth endless game is Spirit Island. Now here is the brand new entry to my list. Our family is also a pretty big board game family, and we got Spirit Island about a year or so ago, but sometimes when we've been playing it, it felt like we weren't always playing it quite right. Now I saw the digital version on sale this month and picked it up with some of the expansions to see if we were playing it right or not. And largely we were. Some of the things that we thought we weren't doing right, we actually were doing right, but there was one pretty big thing that we weren't doing, which will probably make the game a bit harder for us moving forward. So it was good to kind of figure that out, getting the digital version to help figure out how to play the physical version. On its own, I found the digital version to be quite fun as well. It's maybe not super amazing in terms of visuals and everything like that, but it is super functional, and I found it fun to play even by myself if you're wanting to play some Spirit Island without having to drag out the physical game and get it all set up. The final endless game for May is the Jackbox Party Pack series. Now, we played the third, fifth, and seventh game in the series in May. And I know these are technically 3 different games, but I tend to lump them together as they're fairly similar in structure and just have different party games in each of the different packs. Making them all separate entries just doesn't feel like it'd be very helpful and feel like it would just be kind of filling up the list with a number of things that are just very similar. But I do want to talk about what we played in each of the packs. In Party Pack 3, we wound up playing Quiplash and Faking It, which are a couple of our favorites from that pack. Our other favorite is Gaspionage, but we didn't really have time to play it this month, so it was one that we didn't get to. In Party Pack 5, we wound up playing You Don't Know Jack Full Stream, Madverse City, and Patently Stupid. I've always enjoyed the mind-bendy trivia of You Don't Know Jack, but not everyone loves it as much as I do. Patently Stupid is probably the favorite of the whole family, and Madverse City can be good for some laughs, but doesn't always work out super well, and, well, we're maybe not the best rappers in the world either, so that probably doesn't help. In Party Pack 7, we played Quiplash 3, The Devil's in the Details, Champed Up, and Talking Points. Talking Points is probably our favorite overall, at least of the unique games. I also really like Champed Up, but we kept having the game crash on us during our play this time. We didn't have that happen before, so hopefully this was just a fluke and we'll be able to play it smoothly in the future. Moving out of the endless category, let's look at the game I'm working on getting achievements or trophies for. There was really only one game in this category this month, and that game was 7 Days to Die. Now, Now, as I've said before, I know I probably won't get all of the trophies here, but I did have fun playing this game during the month. I did wind up earning one new trophy during May, and I've also just been enjoying trying to progress in the game in a general sense. I'm not playing with a particularly high difficulty to help with some of the trophies, but it's still been enjoyable. It's maybe not the best game like this out there. It's maybe a little graphically not too exciting, and some of the mechanics are maybe not the best, but I really haven't disliked my time with it either. So we'll see how far I get in terms of trophies, but for now I'm enjoying the ride, and if I get to a point where I feel like, yeah, I'm not really thinking I'm going to get any more, I'll probably drop it and move on to another game that I need to kind of clean up a trophy list on. And that's what I played during May. Honestly, with as busy as it was this month, I'm pretty happy with all of what I played. There are always many more games I have ready to play, but it's always a good month when I can get a game completed. It's hard to say how June will be with the start of summer. I always like to think that it will lead to more games getting played and finished up, but honestly, sometimes it has the opposite effect. So who knows where I'll be at the end of next month. How about you? What have you been playing in May? Let me know in the comments, as it's always fun to see what others are playing and to look for games I may like to add to my own backlog. I hope everyone has had a great month and that you've been playing games that you enjoy. That's all for this month though, so I'll see you in the next video.